Shalom. Call halal Yahweh Bahasham Yahushai Bahasham Rakaha Kwadash. Double honors unto the apostles, double honors unto the elder bishops. Salutations to all my fellow laborers doing this work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and their freedom to do so now more so than ever. The would-be judges, the 144,000, all right, who are the tabernacle of David that are set up biblically to be the new government here on earth, which primarily make up Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. That is why they hate it so. They are the Hebrew Israelites. They are the Lord's people and the new government, according to the Bible, to be set up here on earth. Right? Christianism, Catholicism has lied. Right? Just like they lied about the rapture. None of that is biblical. All right? And of course, the people over in the land of Israel are not the people of the Lord. AI even told you that. Okay? They're Edomites. And to the rest of the scattered elect that are scattered around the four corners of the earth, that be like unto the speckled bird, the Israelite foreigners among the heathen nations that have the appearance of the heathen nations. This is not a black only thing or color thing at all. It's an Israelite thing. The Israelites are scattered among all people and will not be gathered up until the return of the Lord. All right, when he enforces the laws of heaven on earth as it is in heaven, as he closes up the breaches and restores the house of David as in the days of old. That's biblical. All right, and to the few Akwaf that are listening and learning, to you I say shalom. This is your brother Malcolm from the branch of the Great Millstone here in Chicago, coming at you another lesson in truth, lessons within lessons. All right, and I have to open it up, to let anyone who's listening, anyone who's learning know that the house of David, which is ordained from heaven to be the new government on earth, is close to being restored. All right. The temple is being built, and it's not a physical temple. It's a spiritual thing. And it's also 12,000 men from each of the 12 tribes, that 144,000. That's the house of David. That's the new temple. It's spiritual. All right. So as we proceed, the internet's just going to keep spewing out real information and false truths. Like you see this video, white people furious, ChatGPT exposes blacks are true Israelites. Well, yeah, that is true. But they're also telling you in that same story about, elevating the woman worship. Okay. The Israelites came from the seed of a man, not from a woman. Okay. Jacob, if you're the seed of Jacob, that's what makes you the proper lineage that's spoken about in Genesis, and not in Genesis, but in Galatians, the 3rd chapter. The proper seed of Abraham, not of seeds of many, but seeds of one. That one is Jacob. So you have to have come from Jacob. And remember, the 12 tribes of Israel, or the 13 children that came out of Jacob, were all Israelites because of Jacob, not because of their mothers. All right, he had 13 children from 4 different women. The mothers had absolutely nothing to do with the children's identity. And women hate to hear that, but it's just a simple fact. Your identity is determined from the sperm that you came from. All right. You were alive before you went into your mother's womb. You were alive in your father's belly when he shot you into your mother. All right. And your mother womb cultivated his seed. That's why women bear children and men begot children. All right. Then it tells you Israelis are in massive denial. We're looking at this on the screen. All right. Well, because, Ezekiel 36, I'm going to try to bring it out every lesson I do if I can. Because that's a chapter that's ignored by mainstream Christianism, and Judaism. They don't talk about this scripture or the time frame that it meets. All right, and we know that the holy places have to be trodden down of the Gentiles until the time of the Gentiles be fulfilled, and then the Lord is going to come back. Well, according to the Bible, Edom are the people that the Lord takes out of power when he returns. And Ezekiel 36 tells you that they're in a high holy place. They took it. Yeah, they started planning on it. in World War One and in World War Two, they activated that plan. All right. 1948, it was fulfilled. Esau took the land of Israel. Amalek, to be exact. Ezekiel 36:2. Thus saith the Lord power, because the enemy have said against you, aha, even the ancient high places are ours in possession. All right. Aha. All right. And now they're declaring themselves to be, there was a time when they, admitted that they were converts. Now they're actually saying that they're the bloodline people. All right. Ezekiel 36:5. Therefore, thus saith the Lord, power, surely in the fire of my jealousy have I spoken against the residue of the heathen and against all Idumea, which have appointed my land into their possession with the joy of all their hearts, with despiteful minds, to cast it out for a prey. All right. To cast it out for a prey. And I just find it funny, that this happened just a day or so ago, when this lion demon, who looks like Satan himself, put that up. All right. Global News View just in. All right. B.B. Milkowski says, Jays in Israel today come from ancient Israelites. Tucker Carlson doesn't speak for MAGA. He defends America's enemies. All right. Now, the truth of the matter is that the people in the land of Israel are actually related to Jacob, but they're not Jacob, because they come from Esau, Jacob's twin brother. And then when he put that up, I immediately retweeted or put up what he put up, but with this right here, because the question was asked, AI, are the Israelis the same as the biblical Israelites? And AI says no. Though there is direct lineage, and this is true because they are Esau Edom. That's the direct lineage. Israeli is a national citizenship for a modern state of Israel, which includes many ethnic and religious groups, while Israelite refers to the ancient people who descended from Jacob and are described in the Bible. They're described as being swarthy. They're described as being chocolate, swarthy people with woolly hair, bronze skin, dark, quadar, blackened to the ground, like dark like the soil. Okay? Modern Israelis are not the sole descendants of ancient Israelites. They're not, because there are other people, the Ishmaelites, the people that are in Palestine now, the sons of Ishmael, Elam. There's Abraham, all the people that came from out of Shem, and plus all the sons of Abraham were all Hebrews. Abraham was a Hebrew. But the line that matters is not the seeds of many, but the seeds of one, just like it says in Galatians. And that seed of one is talking about Jacob. All right. This says modern Israelis are not the sole descendants of ancient Israelites who were a single tribal confederation during biblical times, and the term Israelite is now considered obsolete, and because they don't like to use that word. Right? Because it brings into remembrance. And, and then you start looking into the receipts in history, and you find that these people, that are there now, well, they don't cut the bill. So let's fast forward to modern time. What's happening now? I got two videos that I got from our beloved April O'Neil, the on-the-spot reporter who keeps that fire information coming in. But I got two short videos that are both about 4 minutes long. And I think I'm just going to play them both and then bring out some scriptures to substantiate what she's saying, and how what she's saying is fitting right in what's could be about to happen come tomorrow when those 800 generals gather. All right. Because what it comes down to is the controversy of Zion, because these two videos just happen to be right on top of one another, when I on the screen here. So this was all totally to the spirit. You got, when you just read the titles, Israelis are in massive denial. The denial is that they're not the Israelites. They're not the chosen people. Okay. And then there's no such thing as white people, and there's no such thing as black people. I see no white people or any black people. I see brown and red people on the screen. just as the Bible describes them. Swarthy is a chocolate color, from a dark chocolate, 90% cacao, to a milk chocolate, which could be very light complected, to the red, the pale. They even have white chocolate now. Ain't that something? But let's get this, because Trump is getting ready to fill his belly. Esau is getting ready to fill his belly and come down with his control mechanisms. He put out all his fillers and his sting. You didn't, Jake, nor the heathen, nor Esau, none of them fell for the bait, took the bait to riot and things, so they'd have an excuse to come down on you and take control that way. So they're finding other ways to do it. And let's bring forth the receipts. And one of the things that they're going to do, or that they're doing. So yeah, we start with her. Hold on. Yeah. This chick right here. Wow, I still got so many of these videos to go through that she sent. Oh, but here we go. We'll start here, September 30th. This is a very important day. So, just bear with me and let's just take a listen to what she had to say. This is about both videos about 4 minutes long, and then I'm gonna bring out a couple scriptures, all right, to get a better understanding. But here we go. And
you guys feel about coincidence, but for me, when too many things start to stack up, I smell bullshit. So I want to lay out all of the things that are coming together specifically on September 30th and then paint a best case or worst case scenario. Start with the military. Back in June of 2025, the U.S. Army did something really unusual, and they swore in 4 lieutenant colonels who were civilians, mind you, into something called Detachment 201. Let's talk about who those people were. So you have Meta's CTO, Chief Technical Officer, Andrew Bosworth. Let's not forget that Meta owns Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp, 3 of the largest social media platforms on the planet. Then they swore in the CTO of Palantir, and Palantir at its core is a surveillance technology company. And just to be clear, Palantir itself doesn't collect your social media posts. Instead, government agencies do that, and then they use Palantir tools to analyze the data. So especially when you loop in the fact that Antifa was just declared a domestic terrorist organization, we'll come back to that. And then you have OpenAI's Chief Product Officer. Those are the people behind ChatGPT. And even going back one step further than that, in May, Pete Hegseth ordered that any journalists inside the Pentagon had to be escorted at all times, so they couldn't just freely roam around like they've always done. And then, of course, we know what he just did as far as calling the 800 generals back to Quantico. That brings us to media. As you're all aware, TikTok is basically going to be owned by Larry Ellison. It's a conglomerate of people, but they own 80% of TikTok, with ByteDance remaining 20%.
Owned by those people.
The short version is that they lean, obviously Larry Ellison leans very far to the right, and they're going to be controlling TikTok. And Larry Ellison's son, David Ellison, was part of the Paramount Skydance merger, which means that they now have control over CBS, MTV, Paramount Plus, BET, Comedy Central, Nickelodeon, Showtime, Paramount Pictures, CBS News, CBS Broadcasting, and a few more.
Ooh-wee.
And of course, obviously, we have Fox News under the control.
So we're going to stop right there. And we're talking about these people right here. Okay? All that is owned by those people. And they're also controlling ChatGPT, which is why they give you truth and then they give you lies. And they're still pushing a black and white narrative. All right? That's why they push that. So that's so that they can control the narrative. Now we're going to go to this part now. Okay, that's because that was the most important part of what she said right there. Now we're going to fast forward to what she said, because what she's saying about why these generals are being brought together is through the Spirit. I believe she's correct. All right. Because they know that all hell is about to break loose in America, because they orchestrated on also the fact that we're on the verge of World War III, and America and both the Israelis are facing wars on many fronts, on different fronts. Okay. So it looks like this is going to be a loyalty test, because you got pro-constitutionalists And Trump is looking for people who are loyal to him, the new king of Babylon.
Like the 2018-2019 one, which lasted for around 35 days, it cost the American economy billions of dollars. But this time, there's an added layer, Russell Vought. He's Trump's budget director, an unelected official, a Christian nationalist, and a key player in Project 2025. And on September 24th, Russell Vought told people to prepare for massive firings during the shutdown. Not just furloughs, right? Not like go away and come back when it's over. Just go away, don't come back. That's a big difference. Furloughs are temporary, firings are not. Normally, a reduction in force, otherwise...
Let's keep in mind, too, that the one woman that was voted in that was going to release the Epstein files, she can't get sworn into office if this government shutdown happens, which other chaos could presume shortly thereafter. So they have to have the military and everything in place, to do everything that they need to do. So there's many reasons why they could be bringing all these generals and these high-ranking officers to Quantico, Virginia. They're not even bringing them to the Pentagon, but they're bringing them to Quantico, which is the headquarters of the Marine Corps. All right, and the Marine Corps is the spear on the head of the American military. Just remember that. If the American military was an arrow or a spear, the Marine Corps is the arrowhead, the part that penetrates first. So, I've often said over the years, you really have to, when the military deploys, it's something to consider. But when the Marines deploy, shit then got real. And so just think about it.
As an RIF, it requires 60-day notice. Vote wants to use the shutdown as cover to get rid of thousands of jobs. Agencies like the EPA,
and ensure Epstein's files don't come out.
Basically anything outside of MAGA priorities. That brings us to Trump's executive order against Antifa. And that matters because when you combine Trump's executive order with Palantir surveillance capabilities, they have reach into pretty much every aspect of your life.
Absolutely.
What you write on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, etc.
Including our video.
It could be now tagged as terrorist activity because Antifa is not an organ.
There you go. So anything that is in disagreement with MAGA could be labeled terrorist activity, which is going to bring on a famine of the word, because we will not be allowed to go out on the highways and byways and teach. And more than likely, all of our videos will be removed, shadow banned, and all our pages shut down. We will not be allowed to speak anymore. All hell is breaking loose when that happens. And all you people that are in denial, been running your mouth, you're going to be wishing that we were still around to comfort you and give you guidance as to what is going on.
So to speak, it's more ideology. Or let me just translate. If you lean left, if that executive order is enforced narrowly, it could just target violence. But if it's enforced broadly, which I think given who we're talking about, that's more likely, you could be looking at crackdowns on protests, nonprofits, and anybody that they decide to label Antifa. And that opens the door to surveillance, asset seizure, and suppression of dissent. Now let's do the best case, worst case scenario. Enough Senate Republicans and Democrats work together, they get a deal on paper, bing, bam, boom, there's no shutdown. Hegseth's rally at Quantico turns out to be more of a, male chest pounding morale booster. And Detachment 201, the 4 tech executives that I mentioned at the top of the video, that turns out to be more of like just for innovation, but not surveillance. Press restrictions get rolled back under pressure, media stays competitive, and it's not all just state-run media.
He broke all type of military traditions and laws. Everyone in the military has to go through boot camp and prove themselves. They made these men, not only did they make them military, but they made them officers. I think they came in with the rank of colonel or something like that. None of them have ever served. They never survived boot camp. They never proven themselves. All right? They could have made them advisors, but they literally made these men officers. If that doesn't look shady to you, that you made a bunch of pencil neck geeks, all right, who've never shed a tear, got a splinter, proving themselves in a boot camp setting to be worthy to wear the uniform. All right. And it made, not only did you put them in the uniform, but you made them captains over, men, so to speak. Okay. This is an agenda. So she gave you the positive thing, but then she's also giving you the worst case scenario. And I foresee the worst case scenario or worse.
Media and the Antifa executive order is enforced narrowly. Okay, that's a best case scenario. Now let's talk about the more likely worst case scenario.
Yeah, more likely.
No continuing resolution passes. Shutdown drags on for weeks or months. Vote follows through, gutting 20 to 30% of the federal workforce permanently. Essential workers stop showing up. TSA and air traffic controllers quit. There's travel chaos.
Law
Food and housing
enforcement
benefits
replaced.
stop coming through. We have a real problem here in the economy. And at the same time, the economy's bleeding about $10 billion a week. At Quantico,
And it's going
the
to the
meeting is more than
Israelis.
just a morale rally. It's a loyalty test. Generals seen as disloyal are purged. Detachment 201 tech execs roll out AI surveillance tools. And of course, the military, which is supposed to be and always has been an apolitical institution, now becomes basically an army to serve Trump.
And that's what we needed to hear.
Listen.
That part right there. That's exactly, and along with ICE. What do you think ICE is all about? ICE was put in place under the disguise of getting rid of the people who they don't want, the undesirables. All right. But the real purpose behind ICE was to replace all these people that want to be fired, let go, or taken into captivity, because they're deemed as a threat against this new system, this NWO, this new system that they're trying to put into place. The Great Insurrection, the failure of America. All right, all being, this is what they're doing. They're orchestrating. They're because they know that Ecclesiastes 12 and hold on, let's go to it. 12 and 1. I'm going to read down to verse 4. Remember now that thy creator in the days of thy youth, while the evil days come not, nor the years draw nigh, when thou shalt say, I have no pleasure in them. While the sun or the light or the moon or the stars be not darkened, nor the clouds return after the rain. See, right now we're in the clear skies and the rainbows and the butterflies right now. Even though we're not, but it's nice and sunny out. People are still able to move about, go downtown, go to the beach, fly out to LA, fly to New York, go down to the, wealthy people go to the Hamptons, go down to the white beaches in Florida, whatever. Okay. But soon you're not going to be able to do. Matter of fact, you're not even going to be able to fly domestically unless you have special IDs and stuff. All right. It says, in the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble. That's where we are now. All right. They're looking. It's just like, what the brother said, the elder bro Lahab down in Mississippi camp is being, that saying, what he's saying is being passed around through the men of the Lord now. He said Esau's looking back at his past. He knows he's the Edomites. He knows that he's not the people of the Lord. He knows of the wickedness that he's done. This is why he's trying to erase and cover up his history and whitewash history and take it out. Okay. He's looking to the future, and the future doesn't look good. And he's looking up, and he's seeing the angels that he keeps wanting, that he's calling, telling you, the public, that they're UFOs and UAPs, but he knows they're the chariots of Israel. Right? And that it's so-called ginormous Negroes piloting those things. All right? Who are brothers to the Israelites here on earth, which they actually know who they are. All right? Which is why when you look at the bottom part of the screen, we'll say red people, not white, are furious at ChatGPT for exposing that who the Israelites really are. Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. Even though they try to doctor up and change the narrative and throw woman worship in there as well. Right? Because ChatGPT, it gives you truth, but it's also giving you controlled truth. You have to be able to ask that AI the proper questions. All right. But it says, and the doors are back in Ecclesiastes 12 and 4. And the doors shall be shut in the streets when the sound of the grinding is low, And he shall rise up at the voice of the bird, and the daughters of music shall be brought low. The music is the worst it's ever been. It really is. Low vibration. Very low vibration. All right. Very carnal and sexual and very sexual. Is like a sexual deviancy in most of the music. Okay. And there's no jobs and there's no safety. And they're getting ready to remove all the people, all the workers that help forward and keep order, or people who would actually stand up for the law. And that's actually what they're about to do. Trump is getting ready to tomorrow, and what she's talking about is tomorrow, Tuesday, right? When these generals gather, and I believe it is a loyalty test. Well, say it's a trap for some, because I'm sure they're already tracking these different generals and officers, who have been talking about restoration and keeping the Constitution and, this, that, and the other. They're already probably planning on snatching those guys up. We may or may not even hear about it or in their careers, because they don't want the military men to follow them, but to be obedient to King Trump and his new his new regime, which follows not the laws of the land. See, Esau's made these laws of the land, and he is no longer following them outright. All right. And people are tired of it, and they know that they're on the verge of a collapse and a break here in society, which brings us to this scripture, which is probably going to come out damn near in every prophet's lesson around this time now, because this is the time that we're in. But this is 2nd Ezra, the 15th chapter, 15 to 16. The 2nd Ezra, 15th chapter and the 16th chapter is we're living it, and we're really getting ready to live it. All right, we're getting ready to live or die through what's happening. All right. The matter of fact, I'm going to read 2nd Ezra 16 and 1. It says, "Woe unto thee, Babylon and Asia, and woe unto thee, Egypt and Syria. Gird up yourselves with cloths of sack and hair. Bewail your children, and be sorry, for your destruction is at hand." The Lord is getting ready to, what's happening in Gaza is getting ready to happen around the world. They're not going to be alone in destruction anymore. And it's going to happen to the Israelis are going to get wiped off the face of the earth, according to the Bible, according to what the scripture says. They're not the people of the Lord, and the Lord is going to cleanse that land. That's what the scriptures say. All right. "A sword is sent upon you, and who may turn it back?" There's no stopping it. I just saw a video that was talking about how the Iron Dome was annihilated by Yemen, or one of them. There's no protecting. You can't stop what's about to happen, man. Right? "Plagues are sent unto you, and what is he that may drive them away?" All right. "May any man drive away a hungry lion in the wood? Or may anyone quench the fire in stubble which hath begun to burn?" The fire's already burning, man. There's no way around this. And what Trump is trying to do is get out ahead of it and control the chaos. Esau created this chaos, and he thinks he's going to be able to control it, and he's going to lose control. All right. It's going to go buck wild crazy. And the only way to get it back is going to be with extreme violence and with very extreme measures. And when he does that, he's going to begin to put his hands on the people of the Lord. And he's not going to get to do that this time, because the moment he does that, the Lord's going to lift up that standard. All right. He's going to lift up the standard against them, and the elect are going to get that strength where all your guns and missiles and weapons will Isaiah 54:17 will kick in. "No weapon formed against us will prosper." All right. And the Lord's going to show up and shut you down completely when you're about to fill your belly. So when you set up your system for complete and total oppression and you launch it, that's when the Lord returns. All right. Which is why I think Esau's been hesitant to do anything, because he's been, but the Lord's going to put it on his spirit to do it anyway. Right. Because he's seeing these angels. He's seeing these so-called UFOs. This is 2 Ezra 15 and 14. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and the destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. And so that's another thing, man. These Edomites are getting ready to go at each other. And they're going to kill a lot of you brown people while they're doing it. But they're going to kill mostly each other. That's what's about to happen. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another, and they shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. So meanwhile, on a street level, on a civilian level, there's going to be no policing, no control, no government. So they're going to begin to prey on one another, kicking in doors, people raping and robbing each other. Okay, including your own neighbors. When your neighbors get to the point where they have no more food and water, they're going to knock on your door, or they're not going to knock. They're coming through it anyway. All right. It says, for there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another, and they shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. So they're going to completely disregard authority. As a matter of fact, some of the authoritative figures, they're going to come kicking in their doors too, which is why a lot of them are going to retreat to their bunkers and things. All right. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able, for a couple of reasons. You're not going to be able to go into a city because of checkpoints and roadblocks. You're also not going to be able to go into certain cities simply because it's just too dangerous. It's going to be wild. Okay? For because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, and houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. Men shall be afraid. All right? And a man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. So your neighbors are going to, rape, rob, and murder you. Pimp out your wife, pimp out your daughter, anything that they can do to get another meal. All right? Kill each other, eat each other's pets. All right? It's going to be crazy out here. And that time is at hand. Believe it or not, it's at hand. As a matter of fact, if you don't believe, it's not going to make none of this not happen, because it's happening right before your face. So with that, I'm going to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rekahakwadash, Kwam, Yasharala, Abba, Babal.